Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. With those you love to do them, we're back with Jonny, still on these holly pops. And we got a massive show for you today. There's so many things going on. You've got takeover speculation at United. You've got current part owner, so Jim Ratcliffe, that's backing Amorim. The takeover spec is coming from Turkey, but not Turkey, not this type of Turkey anyway. I won't do it. I'll do it later. Not. I was going to go off on the old. We got the boxing Saudi guy Turkey saying massive news out of United, takeover imminent. We've also got Manchester City, 115 charges verdict imminent. We've got Tottenham Hotspur 100 Milski injected into the club to chew through on that regard. And we've got football regulator corruption. The geezer that's just been installed. The geezer that's just been installed 2 days ago. Labour donor, or Labour, basically a Labour donor, accused of buying his seat at the party. And we've got a whole bunch of other stories for you. It's going to be a wild show. Jonny, before I come to you, my man, let me just ask the people that are watching to do us a couple of favours, and then I'll hand it over to you, mate. Please smash the like button, guys, if you are enjoying the content. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're on the march to 6K. Hit the notification bell. Drop a comment or two. Let us know your thoughts throughout the show. And also, if you are interested more in listening to this stuff after the fact, then please do get over to Apple Pods, Amazon, or Spotify, and all that jazz, the podcast platforms, and give us a 5-star rating and a follow over there. I really appreciate any help you can give us in that regard. It's really important that we try to get that side of the channel growing. Jonny, how are you, my man? Good to see you, buddy. What a day, eh? What a day.
Yeah. I mean, listen, beautiful day, and lots of news flooding in. Hopefully, good news on the politics front, and then I tune in. I thought a nice, relaxing day, quiet news day, and we see the Man City news, Spurs cash injection, Spurs linked to potential Super Bowl shenanigans later on in life. Amorim. Man United fans will be delighted to hear they could have another 3 more years of him. I mean, where do you start? And Marinakis saying he got no plans to sack 007 at this moment.
Yeah, listen. Let's start with the broader stuff. By the way, you mentioned politics, and look, we're not. Yeah. This is not a political show, but it does appear that there at least is the kind of, hopefully, the workings of some sort of peace deal, right? So shout out to the world for trying to figure that stuff out, because it's been going on too long, and it's a crazy story, and hopefully there can just be a little bit less chaos and a little bit more peace. Talking about politics, though, Jonny, I think the best place to start, mate, and I wasn't even aware of this until I saw it earlier on doing a video on Sean Butler TV, but this is quite... like, I was reading this story thinking it was mainly about there was essentially a summary saying that David Cogan, right, who's the new football regulator, that has only been in charge a couple of days. We know this was ratified a couple of months ago. There was basically commentary on Twitter that was suggesting that, or basically that he said that it's outside of our purview, our remit, to start talking about whether or not the fit and proper owners test should extend to considerations around human rights abuses, etc. Right, and where we're talking about in the world for those sorts of things generally. And he said it's outside of our purview, and it's come via some criticism from some sort of like human rights campaigners that are basically saying that they missed an opportunity when it comes to the Newcastle takeover. So I'm reading this story on Sky News, and it's a pretty. This is just like a snippet of a pretty broad interview where he was asking a lot of questions around those topics, around the Sheffield Wednesday owner, Dejphon Chanziri, who's essentially, there's a cash crisis. People aren't getting paid at Sheffield Wednesday. It's too big of a club to basically allow that to happen. And then I scrolled down, and it basically says here, Mr. Croghan's own appointment. This is the first guy, Jonny, the first guy in his first couple of days in the job, is shrouded in controversy, being confirmed this week as chair of the independent football regulator, even while the appointment process remains under investigation. by the Commissioner for Public Appointments. There has been scrutiny over Labour links, and when it became known, the former broadcasting executive was not on the original shortlist, so he wasn't supposed to be in the job. But then he donated to the leadership campaigns in 2020 of both future Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and current Culture Secretary, who's obviously in Culture Secretary, obviously the football thing falls under that purview, Lisa Nandy.
Yeah. But Mr. Very handy. Very handy.
Very Lisa Handy, exactly. Yeah. Handy Nandy. But
Handy Nandy and David Cogan, no relation to Hulk Hogan, just to say, right? We're on the sound alikes. Okay, so go on, Sean.
Let me just quickly get the MS story. He says, I'm anybody's. He says, it's wrong to say I'm anybody's stooge or anybody's crony. He added, the issues aren't about me, and they aren't about impropriety. They're actually about the process in which the Department of Culture, Media and Sport reached the conclusion that I was the right person to do it. Listen, we could go on and on and on. But Johnny, this is the exact thing that you and I were speaking about for months. That if you've got a sport, if you've got a game, any industry that is constantly shrouded in corruption, constantly shrouded in the allegation of backhanders. You think about FIFA, Sepp Blatter, UEFA, all of this stuff. And in the Premier League as well, gambling. Like, it's just never-ending accusations.
Saudi Arabia.
People you don't want to hand it over to is the industry that is known for more corruption than anything else, which is politics, right? They're just the mafia, aren't they? And they want their slice of the pie. And this is what's happening here with Kogan.
I mean, look at the Saudi Arabia deal, for example. It was announced after it had been done. Where was the announcement to the rest of the Premier League, so they could put their objections in, because everybody was paid off. So he pays himself to get inside the job, and what we to say that there'll be no further money changing hands over the next few years. There won't be any apartments in Saudi Arabia or Qatar or trips for him and his missus, allegedly. But it's quite interesting that a Labour supporter has been brought in just at a time when the Reform Party have targeted in August football as a growth position for their target audience for the next election. And what they were doing, they were, encouraging them to, whether you agree with it or not, Gary Neville, we understand that you don't, take the British flag into the stadium. They want to remove that. The government are now trying to ban taking British flags in, anything that's an allegiance to a party, namely Reform, Reform jumpers and stuff like that. And then we got guys coming in for Labour to cut all the nonsense out of football and the politics out of football. Well, we have enough politics in football without bringing politics into football. And that's the bloody problem, Sean. We don't need more politicians bringing their bollocks into an organisation that has got far too much politics already. We need to cut it out, not add to it.
Isn't that the problem, though, mate? Is that where there's corruption, you always follow the money, and politicians, government oversight, it's always corrupt. And so it doesn't, the program The Simpsons, right? I remember an episode when Homer and his mates started becoming like a security guard around Springfield. And Lisa, left-wing Lisa was very concerned about and she basically said, if you're the police, who's going to police the police? And Homer said, I don't know, Coast Guard, right? And like, for me, I think like you have to, this is the concern, right? Like if the police of politics of football is now the government, who the hell is going to oversee them? Because they're just as bad.
Who's creating the agenda? What was the agenda, Sean? What is the stated agenda? Right, we need to clean up. We need to clean up the politics in football, not add to it. Look, we already know about corruption. We already know about the bending of the rules, as been seen by Chelsea, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and so on and so forth, and all the deals that have been going on. No one's done anything. And so they brought in a guy who worked in media, right? Who's made donations to the Labour Party to get the job.
Who wasn't even on the shortlist of candidates. He puts a couple of donations and then he gets the gig. What are we doing here, Johnny?
What is the first thing? Here? What's his first task?
Well, apparently he's not even. His purview doesn't even extend to fit an owner's test regarding whether or not particular owners are a good look for the Premier League. That's outside of their remit. So what is their remit? Just to make sure that there's enough money and sustainability. But the government's not exactly the best handlers of money. Did we speak yesterday about the £500,000 that was spent on the gov.uk logo?
New logo?
They just moved the dot like an inch higher on the lettering and then changed it to blue from grey, and then they charged the taxpayer £500,000. If they're the people that are supposed to be fit and proper regulators of how and what is sustainable financial capabilities, then we have a massive problem here. Massive problem. You there, Johnny?
Honestly, I'm here. Sorry. Listen, look, we don't really want to talk politics, but unfortunately, politics is in football, and we want to eradicate it, get rid of the corruption. But we're just saying, to bring a guy who's paid to jump the queue to grab his position, whose position is coming from the left, a socialist left, to influence what's going on. Who's governing him? Who's telling him his remit? We don't want politics in football. We don't. And there's already too much of it. What we need is the Premier League to govern itself, not consistently having to sue itself. I mean, the Premier League, Sean, has spent tens of millions of pounds fighting its own members. Manchester City, the point deductions, it's ludicrous. The whole thing is a farce. We just need less of it, not more of it, not more.
Let's we'll part that story, Johnny, because we've got a lot to get through, and we're already 12 minutes through. Let's move forward to carry on the trend, though, of corruption. 115 charges, Manchester City. It turns out that apparently now they're finally ready, almost, potentially, maybe by the end of this month, to hear the verdict. By the way,
you say potentially, maybe, or maybe potentially. Maybe.
It's a new Oasis album, I think. Yeah. Apparently, like the trial or the hearing or whatever you want to call it of this 115 charges finished in October last year, a year ago, and it then got handed over to 3 independent adjudicators, and they've been spending the last year going through all of the various evidence. But we were told that that the verdict would be out by March. It was supposed to be January, then it was March at latest, then we didn't hear anything, and now it is apparently going to be handed out in the next few weeks by the end of the month. Are you a bit bored of this whole story by now, mate?
I think it's worse than any bloody soap opera where we all know the ending. It's like Telegraph. It's like watching. My missus still watches EastEnders, and she used to make me watch it. I stopped watching it, God knows how many years ago, right? Where they used to have the Telegraph look, where a guy would walk in, give someone this look, and they'd be shagging each other in 3 weeks. Within 8 episodes, something's going to happen, right? And we all know what's going to happen here. It's the worst kept secret in football. Unless, shock horror, they are relegated or have 24-point deduction or what have you, none of us are going to be shocked. In fact, there's going to be considerable anger if they get away with it, because they shouldn't get away with it. But if we see a 6-point deduction, I think it's just going to be an embarrassment. How can they? There's only one way you can save face, is by giving a severe.
Well, Johnny, you're dropping out a little bit there,
mate. Fine. It's the only way that. Oh, sorry. It's must be the wind. There's a lot of wind. Nothing I've eaten, just the wind outside.
You're back.
I think anything less than a severe. Yeah, anything less than a severe penalty is
Well,
going to be a
if
farce.
they're guilty, right? But they maintained their innocence the whole time, and you know, I think everyone knows that something's gone on, right? There's like everybody knows something's happened, but you know, to me, I think the fact that what happened with the APT, Johnny, the fact that that Man City said, you know what, we'll agree with you. There's no problem. We'll drop our charge against you. All of that stuff screams of like, let's settle this and let's also go a little bit easier on that. And we might not be aware of it yet, but the timing of all those things and the fact that they still got their £1 billion deal that's going to be ratified soon for the Etihad extension, all of those things just comes across a little bit like it's a fait accompli.
Well, I don't know why they need. I don't know why they need the extension, because when I was on TNT, I called it the Etihad because.
Johnny, can you turn onto your mobile Wi-Fi? We lost Johnny for a minute. Let me see if he'll come back in a second. Hopefully he'll turn it on. Yeah, listen, guys, we'll move on. Whilst Johnny's going to come back. Is he back? No, he's disappeared. Let's see if he comes back in a second. So for me, guys, look, I think the 115 charges is. I think it's a fait accompli. I think there'll probably be a slap on the wrist, a financial fine or whatever. I can't imagine that there's going to be some sort of shock horror announcement where they get relegated or they get like a massive points deduction. I can't see any of those sorts of things happening. It just doesn't feel that way, does it? But it'd be nice to draw a line under the story. And then obviously Chelsea then have to answer their 74 charges, which is the next big Goliath can-kicking exercise that Premier League lawyers are going to get involved in. I don't think it bodes particularly well for the look of the Premier League, especially when, like I say, the independent football regulator is supposed to be there to sort of have an oversight here. But in the first couple of days of that whole experience, that whole experiment, we're already seeing accusations there of corruption as well. Johnny, you back, mate?
I am back. Hang on 1 second. It was unfortunate.
Oh, he's gone again. This is an absolute catastrophe. Let's see what's going on in the chat for a minute, because I want to move on to Tottenham Hotspur's £100 million. We'll talk about United as well in a second and a bunch of other things, but we'll see. Wait until he comes back. First and foremost, I've got a super chat here from the Bears Cave. Dan, big up to you, my man in Woking. I hope you're okay, buddy. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Let's get the super sticker train started, shall we? Choo to you. Choo to you, buddy. Thank you very much indeed, my man. I hope everything is cool with you. We've also got my man Daniel Husen. He's back. He's not in deepest, darkest Peru anymore. Johnny sounds like he's in deepest, darkest Peru. But,
honestly, I would just say, I think there was blowing a gale out there, so apologies. I was just reading Earl Hickey before I got cut off. Was saying, so Johnny just assuming the guilt then. Nice one, lad. Listen, Earl, if it was one charge or two charges, okay, it's innocent until proven guilty. Are you saying to me that all 115 charges, they're innocent of everything? Even a blind man.
I don't know.
Even a blind man can see they've been up to no good.
Look, I think most non-Manchester City fans, when there's 115 charges and it's taken that long to investigate, you'd think that there was no smoke without fire, right? But it has to go through due process. I have no idea. Johnny, you have no idea. Like, all of the things that they've been accused of, it seems like that there's evidence, or at least it was years ago when it was first spoken about, it appeared like there was enough evidence with the fact that there was pay slips. But remember, all of it, the whole thing only came about because of a hacked email. Like, there was no way that the Premier League were going to figure out or find out about any of this stuff, if it was true, if it did happen, if it wasn't for the hacked emails. And this, like, so to me, like, you end up sitting there going, well, you know, maybe they'll get off on a technicality because, you know, are hacked emails admissible in court? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
the thing. Who was it that blew the whistle? Who was it that hacked them? Obviously, someone who thought that these deals needed to be exposed. Earl, I presume that you are a Man City fan. When you're saying it's not 115, it's like 7 multiply. Evidence does need to be clean. That's the question we're asking. Does hacked emails claim as allowed to be admissible in a court? We're not sure. You know, we're not sure.
Sean, I'm surprised by you, says Earl. For those of you listening, you do realise the Premier League would essentially be accusing billion-pound companies of fraud. Well, that's what they have been accusing. That's why it's in court.
Yeah.
Well, is that what we're talking about? We're talking about Manchester City here, Earl, or are we talking about the Premier League regulator? If you're talking about that's exactly what they're doing, right? They're accusing Manchester City of utilising their relationships of those sorts. If you're talking about Etihad and the £1 billion APT transaction, it's not fraud. That's just a case of like whether there's legality, whether there's a remit for the Premier League to clamp down on companies that are paying, left hand paying their right hand more than the right hand is worth, essentially, because they have those relationships. But yeah, that's essentially what the conversation is, mate. I'm not suggesting it. Johnny's not suggesting it. That's what the Premier League and the rest of the footballing world have been suggesting,
We spent tens of millions of pounds. The Premier League has spent tens of millions of pounds in lawyers' fees challenging what's going on at Manchester City. It's like QIA, for example, Takeover Spurs, and one of the subsidiaries is QIS, and one of the subsidiaries of QIS decides to back our stadium for 50 million a year instead of 25 million a year, well above market rate, when it's just they're one of their own companies under the umbrella. Questions need to be asked because they're circumventing the rules. That's what we're asking.
But the rules are also up in the air at the moment. People don't really know what the APT rules are because they were put in place. Then that was why City got their first that deal, by the way, the £1 billion deal was supposed to come in a couple of years ago, and it was rejected by the Premier League because it was excessive. And then the Premier League were taken to court by Manchester City, and they said, in a nutshell, Manchester City said, if you're going to sit there and say that is abnormal and outside of the rules of traditional business, then first of all, that's against the law. And second of all, if you're going to do that for us, you should have the same energy for teams like Arsenal that get basically near zero or zero rate loans from their owners. And the Premier League initially turned around and said, you know what, you're right. But rather than sitting there and saying both shouldn't happen, they said actually both can happen. But in the end, they went to court anyway, and now Manchester City have settled. This isn't a Sean and Johnny witch hunt here, Earl. We're just reporting what's in the news.
Hey, Earl, in case you haven't noticed, it's all over the news. It's all over the newspapers. It's all over everything. It's the biggest topic of conversation, full stop. And it wouldn't, as Connor said, it wouldn't be the first time a multi-billion-pound company hadn't done wrong. HSBC Bank, Guinness scandal. I mean, there's loads. There's loads, mate. There's loads. To suggest that no big companies commit fraud is like I've never heard anything so nice.
HSBC have been run through the ringer for the last decade on essentially the biggest money laundering scam out of Southern America with various narcotics trafficking, all sorts of things. The idea that bigger companies are clean as a whistle is for the birds. And just quickly, last thing you're saying about Newcastle here. I mean, look, the most recent story, which no one's talking about apart from Johnny and I, is the Electronic Arts deal, which was taken over from the biggest publicly listed company turning private in the history of mankind, £44 billion, $51 billion. And the three entities that bought that were your lot, Silver Lake Capital from Manchester City backers, Newcastle United's PIF fund, and Jared Kushner's, I forget the name of his fund, but
the fund that he managed to get when he was
right.
Yeah, the fund that Jared Kushner managed to organise while he was trying to sort out the Abraham Agreement. He didn't manage to sort that one out, but managed to come back with a Saudi-backed investment vehicle, which has now owned the EA Sports, and the ramifications of that, considering they sponsor the Premier League to the tune of 250 million, is it, Sean?
200 million at the moment at Electronic Arts. Yeah. And then there's obviously much more
scale.
There's
no fold over there. Oh, there's no cross-contamination there. Yes.
No smoke there. We have to wait until 2027 before that story even materializes. But remember that you heard it here first. In about 14, 15 months' time, Q1 2027, this story will be all over TalkSport, all over Sky Sports. But you heard it here.
Loopholes. It will be classed as a loophole. Anyway.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Tottenham Hotspur, shall we, mate? Another big story in the ownership world. £100 million cash injection. Talk to me, Johnny.
Yeah, £100 million cash injection, and they pledged to keep pumping money in.
This is just a little teaser, a little nipple tweet.
It is a teaser. We got the £100 million payday loan. In fact, I was asking Connor before whether the purchase or the new shares that were issued at 7.61 well below selling rate would mean that increase the value, well, dilute Daniel's shareholding without actually putting money in and diluting Daniel, basically. So he doesn't get any more of the upside by putting it in a slightly different name of the company. I can't remember the name that he said, to be truthful with you, at the drop of my brain.
That £1 million or £2 million worth of shares that traded on Asset Match, that I spoke about with you a couple of weeks ago, that they were trading at £3.22. Right, so you can still buy shares if you wanted to. You could still buy into Tottenham from minority shareholders at half the price of the, less than half the price of the valuation of the shares that are getting issued by the football club. But your money's going to be sunk until they sell it, right? It's a long term.
More or less. But are they putting the shares? Are they, because they've got a different name for this, for where this money's going? Is it going to be another subsidiary of Tottenham that Daniel's not part of? Is my question.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good one. Good question to ask.
I mean? Why would they put money in? Look, when Daniel asked Joe Lewis for money, he was refused. Hence, he went to Rothschilds. So what? Now they're putting the money in? They're only putting the money in to dilute him. They're not putting the money in to increase the value of his holding, are they? They're not going to be doing that. They weren't doing it before, so why would they do it now?
Has it come into a different?
I think it was sports. Connor mentioned the name of the group, Sports something or other.
Inject Sports and Holdings or whatever it was, right? But that's not a new subsidiary though, is it? It's just Inject, right?
Yeah, but it was in another name. If you ask Connor, he'll be able to tell you. But listen, they said they're going to keep pumping, but let's be honest. Where is the money coming for the hotel? The hotel, the Extreme Sports Division, White Webs, it's got to be around 300 million for all of that. Maybe more. So the 100 million is not going to touch the sides unless this is just to help the cash flow, the 100 million to help the cash flow of the club. Because as we all know, 100 million doesn't mean you've only got 100 million to spend, because you don't pay the money up front. You pay a percentage of it and you pay the rest over the term of the contract. So it's amortized.
I see people say that all the time, but just on a simplified version of it, the reality is that we're still paying off money now for players that we bought last year, the year before that. Right?
I mean, cash flow, though. But the point is, cash flow's not been great. We haven't had great cash flow. So maybe this eases the cash flow, this money, and the payday loan, the money in advance on next year's money.
Yeah.
With the two couple.
190 odd million quid is now in the coffers of the football club that wasn't there a month ago.
Correct. So that gives us more flexibility. We're not constrained by, as I said before, the cash flow, but it still doesn't fund the capital intensive projects. Now, whether that money has already been acquired by Tavistock Group out with the Inject model, I don't know. It's a possibility. Connor spoke here, it is coming to Inject Development and Sports Holding rather than via Inject Sports, used in May 2022. So he's saying not a new sub, but I expect there has been some restructuring behind the scenes in the Bahamas, so that Lewis family ownership increases while Daniel, that's exactly what I was saying. So Daniel is diluted along with other minority shareholders, whereas previously Daniel Levy's stake was also increased. So they're shafting Daniel in the background somewhere.
Are they shafting him? First of all, just Connor, sorry, do you know if that's the fact or that's just an assumption, right? But second of all, like, are they shafting him or are they they're the ones putting in the money? Daniel Levy didn't put the money in right before. So
not shafting. It's the wrong. I used the wrong terminology. I mean,
correctly getting removed from the additional rate, the additional increase in valuation.
They're putting the money in. They weren't going to give him the money before. They're now putting in the money now. So he doesn't. Their view is that he doesn't deserve the uplift from here on in. In fact, what we're going to do is, as we put the more money in, we're going to dilute you. So what he thought was getting, what I'm saying is he's holding, unless the club goes up and up in value. If they can, what happens if they keep pumping the money in? How much further are they going to dilute him? So maybe he's sat at home a bit upset with what's going on. Is an assumption. We'll see when they update the website soon. Okay, yeah. Hold it. We shall see.
We shall see. Interesting stuff, though. Interesting stuff. And is it going to be? Does it mean that we can look forward to? I've already seen about 100 people DM me asking me for what all this means, and does that mean that we're going to be getting, have we now got 190 million pound more to spend in the January transfer window? And I'm like, no.
No.
We don't know, do we? We don't know what this means. It could be there to like imagine, Johnny. Imagine if they went and bought five world-class women's team players.
No, but look, the thing is, what it means now is that we could go out and buy a player that's 70, 80 million pound without any problem. You're not paying 80 million up front, are you? Right? Yeah. You're paying, 30 million or 20 million, and you're going to be paying the rest over the period of time. But this money, this cash injection makes us more fluid. And it can only help us in the window. Whereas before we were haggling and, pissing around with every transfer and missing out, we can jump straight in, identify the targets. If this money had been in now and we went after Eze, probably the deal would have been.
Oh. He's gone. He's gone again. It must be time for a video. Where is it? Let's get it up. Pause. Where's the puff when he's gone video? Where's it gone? Can't find it. Oh, here it
is. Poof, and he's gone. Poof, and he's gone.
He's doing it again.
That was my fault. That was actually my fault that time. Nothing to do with the internet. I've come in from outside where the wind was blowing. It was cutting out the signal. But while we're on ownership and stuff, see, Burnley owners have finally completed the purchase of the majority stake in Espanyol. Sean reported today by the Athletic. Interesting.
It is interesting. I personally,
are they bigger than Burnley?
Maybe. Maybe. I think, listen, Burnley has spent a lot of money. Espanyol are more of an ever-present part of La Liga, aren't they? But I don't know if Espanyol have got the same valuation of squad. Burnley have won trophies in the past. I did a video on the 75-year history of trophies, and I know that Burnley were once upon a time, if you go back far enough, a trophy winner or two. I'm not sure about Espanyol's history, mate, to be honest. But listen, one thing is for sure, that the role of multi-club ownership, I've done I've done maybe 5 or 6 different videos on multi-club ownership and the value propositions of them over time. And generally speaking, Johnny, historically, when you first plug in another club into your MCO, and the second one, the third one, whatever, it doesn't start to sort of generate value. It doesn't start to kind of the juice isn't worth the squeeze until you get to like 3, 4, 5. In that initial period, you have loads and loads and loads of clubs that have tried it and have ended up like screwing themselves, screwing the pooch. What Chelsea have sort of done with regards Strasbourg has clearly set in motion, alongside some political easing from the regards of UEFA's stance on this sort of thing. It certainly has made people take notice of the value of having just another feeder club. And whether that's how Burnley and Espanyol are going to figure it out, I'm not sure. But certainly Liverpool and Levante probably will use it that way when once that gets ratified as well. Interesting though, right?
Do you think Inject, having been well ahead of the curve with their ownership of Glasgow Rangers and Slavia Prague, are kicking themselves and maybe one day revisit buying another club? Or do you think they've got enough on their plate with running Spurs?
Well, we heard Daniel Levy before he was unceremoniously kicked out of the club, that he said that he didn't think that the MCO thing was sustainable, and that it didn't. I was surprised and disappointed, to be honest, when I heard him speak about it, because he kind of alluded to the notion that he didn't really have much interest. But now he's not there anymore, so maybe
he was wrong, wasn't he?
Well, he certainly was wrong about that. Yeah, 100% he was wrong about that. Yeah. At least for the time being, it looks that way. But yeah, and look, maybe the Lewis children will revisit it in the future. Well, you got Vinay that's going to be pushing that narrative, right? And he didn't push it at Arsenal. Arsenal don't have a second club, do they? So maybe there's just no appetite for it at Tottenham right now.
I don't know, but I mean, there are obviously advantages. Brighton found the advantages. Burnley obviously think that there's going to be advantages. Manchester City have obviously feel like they've got advantages. Chelsea certainly have. So we shall wait and see. But I think get your own house in order first. Talk about get your own house in order first. The man that came in last January, buying in his stake from the Glazers to get his house in order, seems to be smashing all the windows and not getting very far. You know, all the big talk about a £2 billion stadium, Andy Burnham talking about funding from the general public, getting rid of Eric 10 months, and then bringing in Ruben Amorim, and then the news that he's going to give Ruben Amorim 3 years to get it right. I don't know about that. And then the latest one, Jim Ratcliffe has criticised Manchester United's academy and said he wants youth production to help improve finances at the club. Manchester United have a great history of producing young talent, and they've had an academy product in every first team squad since 1937. But that has not stopped Ratcliffe from calling for improvement in the youth setup. Does he know his onions, Sean? I mean, Manchester United, the one thing they keep doing is producing players. They've got a history. They've been doing it and doing it and doing it. Ahmad, Kobe Mainoo. The other thing is that we haven't even begun to start with this academy, which is fundamentally important to football. Ratcliffe told the Times Business podcast. The academy has really slipped at Manchester United, but you need the academy to producing talent all the time. It helps you financially, and you have to have a certain number of British players in your squad. I think that goes for every, certainly goes for our club, who has failed to deliver enough homegrown talent. But for him to be bemoaning the quality of Manchester United's, seems to me he doesn't know his own club.
Well, he's also backing a guy in Amorim that has screwed the pooch with Kobe Mainoo, right? One of the greatest things to come out of that particular academy in a few years, quite a few years. And Kobe Mainoo doesn't get really any minutes because he doesn't suit the system. The system isn't suiting Manchester United's players. Most Manchester United fans are crying out to see a bit more from Kobe Mainoo. And you got this guy who has done nothing at Nice, right? So Jim Ratcliffe's, the Nice fans can't stand him. And I think that the phrase "all the gear, no idea" sort of rings true with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right? He seems to have a lot of money, Well, he had a lot more money.
He had a lot.
Money. Yeah, he's still got a lot relative to everybody else, but he's lost about 50% of his net wealth because of Ineos's performance. But yeah, he seems to be throwing his weight around in areas that I don't think he has any real knowledge on.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he started throwing his weight around by removing Christmas bonuses and getting rid of the tea lady, and trying to save huge sums of money. I think he thinks the answer to it all is to spend, 80 million on Sesko, 60 million on Cunha, and Waymo and all the other players that Man United. It hasn't served them well, but they're still doing it. Here's the guy who's moaning about it. And the academy, he's continuing to spend the money like it's going out of fashion, but they don't seem to be going anywhere. We'll be interested to see. Do you think that 3 years could turn into 3 weeks, Sean?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that kind of like the dreaded vote of confidence. This isn't a vote of confidence. This is almost a guarantee. It's almost like Ange Postecoglou getting the guaranteed second year because he always wins a trophy. Speaking of which, mate, in fact, before we do that, let's just finish off the Man United story. Tweets out last night from a very wealthy man, very influential man out in Saudi Arabia, the Sheikh of Sport or whatever, Sheikh Turkey, boxing geezer, was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, etc. Putting out a tweet saying that he's heard that the Manchester United are about to have new owners, a full takeover. It come out of nowhere. There was no speculation about it.
The original guy who got gazumped or didn't get the
Arnie.
Yeah.
He's from Qatar, so I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think anything will come from it, but it's just a weird thing to happen, isn't it? It's just a weird thing to see emerge.
Well, maybe you take over the company and you start looking at everything and realise you're actually swimming in shit. You're actually in quicksand. You've got a stadium that's falling apart that needs around about 2 billion spent on it. You've got a bunch of players, a lot of them you can't get rid of. So where do you go from there? So maybe they may be revisiting the balance of the Glazer shareholding. And he said, well, I'll buy up the remainder and maybe Ratcliffe becomes a minority shareholder as opposed to, where he is now. The Glazers buy the Glazers shareholding. Interesting as well. Spurs
it's dropping at the same time as that £2 billion stadium rebuild fit.
Well,
the Glazers aren't going to do that, are they? They're not taking cash from that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They just put a sticking plaster on it. All right, put a bit of corrugated cardboard on the top and paint it black. No one.
Yeah, that'll do.
Spurs King's asking what happened to the Spurs suing Ineos. Has that gone away now that Daniel has left the building and that one's been settled out of court? We haven't heard any more of that, have we, Sean?
No, it was in June, wasn't it? Tottenham filed a high court proceeding against United's Jim Ratcliffe company, Ineos. Haven't heard anything about it since. So I'd imagine these things at the High Court take forever to find space in their schedule for. So unless I missed something, I don't think anything's changed since June on that one.
Sheikh Yazim, I think it was. Sheikh Yazim.
Yeah, Sheikh Jassim El Thani, his name is.
Yeah. Don't forget the last bit, El Thani.
Yeah, but he's a Qatar guy, so but then I'm sure all the royal families are probably pretty close. So I don't know. We'll find out. But listen, it was big news for about 5 seconds late last night, and then I looked at the tweet, looked at all the responses, and even the United fans were going, "Shut up." So we'll I guess we'll put that one to bed. Mate, let's talk about Marinakis, shall we, for a second before we move on to some transfer specs?
Marinakis. Oh dear, the gift that keeps on giving. Sorry, Marinakis, I don't want to visit while I'm here in Cyprus. But listen, another day, another Marinakis story. When you mention Marinakis, when you get in a taxi here, they all roll their eyebrows.
Do they?
Yeah.
You're not a fan,
no? Yeah, no, not a lot of fans here unless you're an Olympiacos fan. He's saying that he's going to give him time. Is that the old classic? He's not under any pressure before he gets the tin tack?
listen, mate. If he loses to who's next up? Is it
Chelsea and Porto? Isn't it?
It's Man United. Let me go. Nottingham Forest.
Chelsea and Porto next.
Yeah, before the end of the. Let's have a look. Hang on. I'm gonna get it up on the screen.
I thought it was Chelsea and Porto. I might be wrong.
They have Chelsea next. Yeah, then Porto, and then Bournemouth. Fucking hell, Bournemouth away. So Chelsea at home, Porto at home. I don't think they're going to get much out of those two. Bournemouth away, doubt it. Man United at home, not sure. Stone Rats away. I mean, look, if they lose their next 3 games, can you really see Ange Postecoglou being in charge by November?
I don't know. Listen, look, he's still got a very good relationship with David Silva. Let's be honest. David Silva Marco Silva, should I say. Marco Silva's contract comes to an end this summer. So it wouldn't cost him a lot to get him out the contract. He's got a far better squad. I mean, I think that Newcastle squad is a very good squad. I really do. It's got great depth. Nottingham Forest, yeah. Very, very good squad. And certainly better than what Ange Postecoglou is doing with it right now. So I could see a situation where they come after Silva and get rid of him. And I think Silva would take the job. I really do. European football, much better squad. And he's worked with Marinakis before, I think for a year, about 7-8 years ago, something like that. Might have been 2016, 2017. I can't remember exactly. But he's worked with him before. Oh, and Sean has gone. Sean has left the building. While Sean's left the building, I don't control the other bits and pieces, the tunes. That's Sean's.
I need to get a jingle for myself. Clearly,
he needs a jingle for himself.
Let me just quickly show you this, mate. Right, I just want to show you this for 1 second. West Ham. When we get back to football next week or week after, have got Brentford on Monday Night Football, right? Leeds. Let me go back to this. Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have got. They're 17th in the league, right? They're 1 point above the relegation zone. Burnley have got Leeds at home. Next time we play Premiership football. West Ham have got Brentford at home, and Wolves have got Sunderland away. There's every chance, mate, that by the time that Premier League weekend is done, that Nottingham Forest are 18th or 19th. Every chance. I
want them to be. I think Ange Postecoglou deserves to stay at 17th place. It's got a certain ring to it. Let him remain 17th. We're calling.
But to your point about Marco Silva, like we spoke about this all summer, Johnny. Is there any chance that certain teams could get dragged into relegation battles? Nottingham Forest, the longer they keep him, mate, 100% they could get relegated. 100%. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying it's entirely possible that they could. It's entirely possible.
Listen, look, you can't lose 22 games like you did for us and do it again. Because I think there are too many teams at the bottom are going to be getting results. Unlike last year where 3 got completely cut off. Would I love to see Nottingham Forest and Marinakis relegated? Probably. Karma after all they've done. But I can't see it because I think even Marinakis will test. But the good thing from my point of view, Sean, the Ange sexuals have disappeared off my timeline, right?
They finally left you alone, have they?
They finally left me alone after 18 months. All of the, you're going to regret Ange leaving and bringing in Thomas Frank. Well, I'm not. Listen, Thomas Frank has got a very, very tough end of October and November, and I expect us to lose games. I expect us to have plenty of bumps in the road between now and next summer. But as long as I see progression, that's what I'm after, basically. We'll have to see. But unlike Spurs, when we lose major players and it disrupts us, Chelsea can carry on, missing players and still performing. Chelsea's expect Cold Palmer to be out until November with his groin injury. And he's going to be missing Nottingham Forest, Ajax, Sunderland and Wolves as a minimum next season. Well, sorry, in the next few weeks. But I actually don't think they're going to miss him at all, because Estavo is what a player. What a player. I said to you, I made a statement, a very bold statement before the season started, that I thought this young Brazilian boy would go on to become the best Brazilian to play in the Premier League. It was a bold statement, I must admit, but nothing has swayed me to say anything and take it back. I'll be brutally honest. The goal at the death to beat Liverpool the other night was just absolutely sensational, unbelievable stuff. But I don't know if they're going to miss him. One player who seems to be missing.
God, so you're saying, just getting some players up here that have played in the Premier League that are Brazilian. Gilberto Silva, baller. Edison, baller.
Yeah.
Bobby Firmino, baller.
Yeah.
Alisson Becker, baller. Fernandinho.
Hey, can I just stop you at? Can I just stop you at Alisson Becker? Alisson Becker has missed 14% of Liverpool's Premier League games since joining in 2018. He's had 5 hamstring injuries in 3 years.
Imagine if he was a centre back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? How do you do a hammy as a goalkeeper? It's madness, mate. There's some tough competition here.
There is.
We're not talking about the likes of Lucas Moura. We're not talking about Richarlison. We're not talking about Ramirez. Not Anthony. None of those sorts of guys. Joel Linton, very good player. Yep. Casemiro not done too well in Tottenham in a Premier League.
Emerson Royal.
Emerson Royal, right? There's a hell of a lot of Brazilians that they've got. Philip Coutinho, by the way.
Yeah.
And you're saying that he's going to be the best of them all?
I feel like he's going to be the best of the lot.
All right. Well, fair enough. It's a bold.
You're
right. He hasn't done anything to change your note on that. I hear you.
Oh, no. I mean, listen, look, I know it was a bold statement and I made it before the season started, guys, not once the season has started to go back and see the videos. There's just something about the kid and we shall see. We shall see where he goes with that.
Couple of chats, Johnny boy. 1 second, mate. Dean Law, big up, Dino. How you doing, mate? Choo choo to you, buddy. Choo choo to you. I hope you're okay, mate. Always here, always watching. We really very much appreciate you so much. And look who we got. Football Heritage Timmy, big up to you, Saba. Tears of joy, 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 tears of joy.
That's obviously to Nottingham Forest getting relegated. Poor old Wolfie.
That was the funniest thing in the world. That guy runs the risk, Wolfie, bless him, of having like a 70,000 subscriber channel and being in the championship. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Good luck to him, though. He is coining it and cashing it in terms of growth and access and attention. Because this is the thing, Johnny. One thing we know, right? Tottenham content right now, everyone's views are down about 60% because, first of all, there's not a hell of a lot going on. All this stop-start nonsense with the Premier League. But on top of that, when things are looking good, nobody really wants to spend time watching fans say, yeah, everything's okay. People love misery, mate. Misery loves company.
Correct. And actually, talking about misery, guess where Scott Munn's ended up? Scott Munn, ex-Tottenham chief executive, is going to be the new head of football at the Kraus Group, the burgeoning multi-club empire of Parma owner Karl Kraus, who is also starting up a USL team. Nice Aussie connection there for him.
A USL team?
I don't know what that is, but Scott Munn is going to oversee that. God help them all. God help them all.
USL is... What is that? It's a men's professional soccer league in the second tier of the United States system. Oh, do they actually have... they've got like relegation and promotion, have they, in the... In American football,
He's starting up a USL team. Yep. It's apparently he's connecting up with Ali Sirakati. Never actually heard of them. But there was rumours that Scott Munn was going to Nottingham Forest. But he didn't turn up there. He's turned up at another. I'm amazed that he got a job as high profile as that.
It's an old boys network, Johnny, mate. Once you're in the game, you're in the game. You'd always find the job, you know?
Unbelievable. Yeah, previous experience, sir.
100%.
No experience required. What are we
quickly,
going...
Before we get on to the transfer news, views and clues part of the show, have you seen John Henry, obviously Liverpool owner, talking about international games in the Premier League? We know recently the Barcelona are playing over in Miami, I think it is, and Serie A has also been approved for international games.
Yeah,
they're going to Saudi, I think. Yeah, you're right there. Oh no, AC Milan versus Como. Sorry, AC Milan versus Como is earmarked for Perth in February, and Villarreal versus Barcelona is earmarked in Miami just before Christmas. Tom Herner and John Henry have laid some comments out regarding Premier League games overseas. He said, in June 2024, he said in an interview with the Financial Times, "I'm determined one day to have a Premier League game be played in New York City. I even have the sort of crazy idea that there would be a day where we play one game in Tokyo, one game a few hours later in Los Angeles, one game a few hours later in Rio, one game a few hours later in Riyadh, and make it a sort of a day where the Premier League is celebrated."
GTF, right? Okay, I go home and away, right? Okay, yeah, I was up in Leeds. I'll be in Everton. I'm not going to Tokyo. Okay, you're not going to deprive us, the actual Spurs fans who go to every game. No, if they want to watch the game.
Was it DTF? We said DTF.
GTF.
What's that? Get the F out.
Get to fuck. GTF.
Oh, get to fuck. Okay, yeah. Well, I was listening to a debate about this the other night, and people were saying, I don't think home season ticket fans will be okay with it.
No.
Because why should they pay full price and then see a game get played in Miami? But obviously you'd be discounted, right? Like the game, you'd get a discount on your ticket for not going, right? Or you wouldn't be paying full whack, right?
Listen. Let the game sort itself out in this country before we start going abroad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, there's enough money without needing to go abroad. These clubs in Europe need to go abroad because there isn't the money. There isn't the money in the Premier League. You know, the Ligue 1 have got no money. There's bugger all TV deals. They need to go abroad to get the money. So, no, not for me. Not for me. Let's talk about some transfer news here. Some big money transfers. Kenan Yildiz, right? It seems to be that everyone's after him. Manchester United, Chelsea, Juventus, Barcelona. There isn't anybody. Arsenal who don't want Yildiz. Can Juventus keep him?
Well, they've got FFP and PSR issues, as they always seem to. But he's their shining star, Johnny. And as far as I can tell, reading up on him, I've spent quite a lot of time sort of reading a lot of backstory about this guy. He absolutely adores Juve. He's infatuated with Alessandro Del Piero. Like there's the history. He obviously just grew up watching Serie A and watching them when they were awesome. Del Piero. There's videos of like Del Piero doing post pitch side interviews before a game, and he runs over from their warm up to go and hug the guy. Like he's like a kid who's infatuated with Juventus, but he also is a guy who is unbelievably demanding of his teammates. He's a leader. He's talented. He's an incredible player. He really is. He's strong for his size. He's got an unbelievable wand of a foot on him. He can whip the ball in. I love him. I think he's unbelievable, John. I was talking about him summer before last. So summer 2024, I was talking about him, saying we should go and get this guy if we can. Obviously, never going to happen. Look, at the end of the day, money talks, right? If someone was to put in a massive bid, you look like I always say to Johnny, do you agree that the left wing spot is, generally speaking, right-footed left wingers, whatever, it's the most oversaturated position in world football for talent? And I think you've always generally agreed with me.
Yeah.
But like right now, you're looking around and you're going, well, if you're looking at Liverpool, probably need a left, or I don't think they need to prioritise a left winger, but they could argue that they still need a spot there. Arsenal will probably want to improve at some point on Trossard or Martinelli. Bournemouth would need a replacement if they lose Semenyo. United, Cunha hasn't really landed, right? There's a lot of teams in the Premier League that would still want a top draw left winger. There's other teams in around Europe. Like Barcelona probably need one. Rashford's only on loan there.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you kind of go, can Juventus really hold on to him if a monster money bid comes in?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, they're pushing Dusan Vlahovic to the Premier League. 300 grand a week wages. We know the whole summer we were talking about on Football Inc. Them trying to force him out. No takers whatsoever because of the wages. But he's getting supply now. He's scoring again, Vlahovic. But they still pushing
season, mate.
Yeah, because he's been supplied. But he's been offered to Chelsea. He's been offered to Manchester United. He's been offered to Spurs. I just can't see. Who can you see taking Dusan Vlahovic?
I honestly could see it in January, if there was to be something there. I could see Tottenham
alone, 300 grand a week.
I think Tottenham need some support in that regard. Tottenham. You've got the argument. Tottenham have got six strikers, Johnny. Right? You've got
it's debatable, Sean.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I'm saying. You can make the argument, but it's debatable. Solanke's out, and I think he'll be out for a while. I think that will be like a recurring thing because I don't think they've got to the bottom of it. Whatever it was, the Tottenham medical team never seems to get to the bottom of an injury. Richarlison, you know how I feel.
Yeah,
Matthias Tell. Look, he had a good goal, but it was deflected. But I'm not taking that away from him. But let's see if he kicks on. If not, you'll need to go again. Dane Scarlett, Brennan Johnson. He's not being played as a 9. We don't have any top draw 9s. And if Tottenham want to go and spend money on a left winger, and they also want to go and get a loan deal in, by the way, what they might do is make the deal for Polinia permanent in January, earlier than schedule, just so they can free up a space on the loan spot, right, on the loan roster.
100%. It makes sense.
Coming.
It makes absolute sense.
You might also see Chelsea loan him as well, because Chelsea have got problems with their injuries at the top end, haven't they?
Well, they've lost a load of centre backs, so they might be looking for a centre back. Did you see the video of after Chelsea scored the goal, the late goal from my Brazilian boy? Hato ran along the pitch and jumped on Cole Palmer and put strain on his groin. And he started walking like that. Probably put him out for an extra couple of weeks.
Really?
He jumped on his back. Not very good. Wow. As for Richarlison and Spurs, Orlando City coming in and offering him like free Disney pass as part of his transfer fee. Can't see that one happening. No. Orlando or Saudi Arabia. No, I can't see that one at this stage of his career. But Vlahovic, I can't see it. I can't see it unless Juventus are willing to pay, half. I think 150,000 is probably the most anyone will pay towards Vlahovic's wages. They're not paying any more than that. No chance. Not a chance. One player hoping to secure a new contract is Harry Maguire. How many times has it been said that you think that Harry Maguire is finally leaving Man United?
Yeah, many times. It was only a couple of days ago he was linked with Saudi Arabia, wasn't he? But I think we spoke about this yesterday. Like now apparently he's willing to stay at United for on some sort of reduced salary. But I don't know. For me, I think if you're Manchester United, you probably need. This is the other thing, right? This Semenyo story keeps going around. Look, there's like a 3-team tussle than Tottenham United for Semenyo. And I'm like, can United really justify another forward player when they need to do things at the back? And the same for their biggest rivals, Liverpool. Right? Can Liverpool really justify spending £100 million on Semenyo when they've got so many problems in their balance? They're so front loaded right now, so top heavy. that I just if they've got 100 million to spend, are they really going to spend it on him?
I think if he goes anywhere, mate, it'll be to Arsenal. They get rid of Trossard and Martinelli and just bring in Semenyo. Their pays that between the two of them more or less pays for the Semenyo deal. I mean, he is an Arsenal fan, and if you're Arsenal, all you do is say, look, these are the players that have gone to Man United. This is what's happened to them. Look what happens when they leave, aka Højlund, aka the keeper. Everyone, in fact, who's left Manchester United seems to have kicked on, which begs the question, is it Ruben Amorim's tactics? I think the funniest link of the day happens to be probably the biggest hyped Brazilian kid, the next wonder kid to come out of Brazil, Inject, who under the new the new Real Madrid manager, Alonso, isn't getting a look in, and that is Inject. And there's been links with him to West Ham. Right, listen, son, just had a phone call. Okay, sit down, say, listen, just spoken to your mum and dad, and we're sending you to West Ham. Where? West Ham.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we pay for your plane fare. No, can you see Inject at West Ham?
No.
Seriously. I mean,
no.
How they come up with these fucking stories? I mean, seriously, honestly. Estadio Deportivo. Is that story? Can you see that one?
No, I can't. I think he might go on loan in January. He's just not playing enough. But where's he going to go? Again, we can make the argument that there's a few teams that might look at him, but there's always this kind of rationale of we've already got Kolo Muani, Tottenham have already got Kolo Muani on loan with no guarantee of him staying, no option, none of that sort of thing. And I feel a lot of the time, big clubs, do they really want to take players on loan unless there is an option to make it happen at the end of it? And if there isn't, then do most Premier League clubs really want to spend their time developing somebody else's asset just for them to go back and be more valuable to the team that's loaning them out? Unless you're in a real pickle and you don't have any money, and maybe you can make the argument that West Ham are in that scenario, but I just don't think Inject would want to go there, to be honest, in any way, shape, or form.
I can't see it.
He's not going to get fed. He's not going to get fed the ball enough for him to do anything.
What about Ivan Toney? Could you see Ivan Toney coming to Spurs on loan?
Yeah, I spoke about this the other day. I would take him. I think it's a fairly dry market, mate. We were talking about a wet market in the summer for strikers, but so many of them ended up moving. And you look at, it depends on what you want, right? If you're trying to go down this, you buy someone for the future, and you want to go. There's only a couple really out there. There's Adeyemi from Dortmund that you could but he's sort of like a right inside forward, if I'm honest. And then you've got Samu Agahawa from Porto. I'm looking forward to seeing him play at Nottingham Forest in a couple of weeks. But I think if the other outside of the young guys, in that regard, then you have to start looking at players that are a little bit towards the tail end. The only question mark for me, he's still banging the goals in Saudi Arabia. He's getting paid a lot of money. He's banging the goals in. He doesn't look like he's lost anything in his touch or his finishing. But there's not a single example of any players that have left Saudi Arabia and come back to the Premier League. The only one that there is Henderson, that left Saudi via Ajax and then came back to Brentford. So you have to ask the question whether or not these players, none of the big name players that have gone to Saudi have come back to the Premier League yet.
Tell me something. One player that's a lot of chat right now, and maybe is why Lookman, I don't know if he's keeping Lookman out because he's more of a forward, is Atalanta's new shot monster, Nikola, I can't remember his name, Nikola Kristovic.
Who's that, sorry?
The Atalanta striker. Nikola Kristovic.
Yeah. Okay.
He's right up there with the most shots per 90 minutes in all the 5 leagues at the moment. Number one is Lamine Yamal with 5.6 shots per 90. Then comes Said El Mala with 5.39. Then an old favourite of ours, Gift Auburn, Yes, Gift
Where is
Auburn.
he now? Is he still in France? Where is he now?
I forgot where Gift Auburn is. Kristovic comes in fourth place with 5.06 shots every 9 minutes, every 90 minutes. I'm just trying to think where he's playing now. Gift Auburn.
Gift Auburn's playing in Verona.
It's Verona.
So Nicola, I think, yeah.
It's at Atalanta. It's at Atalanta.
I'm just looking at his FB refs. Let's have a look. See.
I wanted to mention him the other day, and I forgot. We're looking at players to look at and talk about.
It doesn't look like he's too hot, but then stats are obviously contextualized, and I'm not familiar with him. So, yeah, shots from free kicks. This is over the last year, though, not just this season.
Yeah, what about this season? It's this season. He's seems to be on fire. Lookman, the conversations with Lookman seem to have gone very quiet. Not just with Spurs, with any club. Everything's quiet on that front.
Yeah,
guys, if you're in the chat and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like, and helps us grow the channel. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, guys, please hit the sub button. Trying to grow the channel, and we couldn't do it without you. Is there any super chats there, Sean? Still haven't gone through.
No, done
them all. Yeah. Okay, I think I haven't got any more. Sean, have you got any more?
No, I think we can round it off, mate. The other stories are all kind of a little bit repetitive. We've gone through them before.
The England-Wales tonight, obviously. Well, I wouldn't say a big game. Would you class this as a big game? Tommy Tuchel? Has Tommy Tuchel got it in for certain players, Sean?
To be entirely honest, Johnny, I couldn't give a flying F about international football, mate. I don't know. I don't watch the England games in the qualifiers. I'll be doing a show tonight. I think you're going to be joining me. I think, aren't you?
Yes. So I'll be joining him, but he does care really when he says he doesn't know. He's Football Inc. and he loves English football.
I can't stand international football. I'll watch the World Cup, mate, and I watch the Euros and I watch the World, all that stuff. But I can't be doing with these international breaks, mate. It drives me up the wall. So. But yeah, I don't know if is he picking on players, Johnny? You tell me, mate.
I'm going to ask you a question. Should Jordan Henderson be anywhere near the England squad?
No, of course not.
No.
So he's in it, is he? Is he still in it?
He's in the squad. There's a chance he could be captain tonight. For me, it should be John Stones or Declan Rice. No way should it be Jordan Henderson
in the squad.
Pardon?
Harry
Kane. No, he's not in. He's not in. I think he's got an injury, so be interested to see. Ollie Watkins probably lead the attack tonight. I would have thought. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. But we shall see. We'll see you all later anyway. Guys, I think that's it for today. We will see you tomorrow. No doubt there'll be some more football news. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from that guy. See you tomorrow, guys.
Bye.